I'm gonna go over here. We're gonna get my music going. Yeah, I got my music going. Things are good. Let's go over here. Let's see. Hello, hello, Roots. I think you should appear in my little chat box. We're trying out some new technology things. We're checking our audio right now. And my recording, I should have my chat box in the recording now. Roots worked hard to get that up. So, let's see. You know what's really odd? Roots, are you still in the chat? Are you still viewing? Am I still on your main monitor or something? It's still showing as 0 viewers. Isn't that funny? Twitch is really weird. I don't get how it counts viewers. It's really funny. I don't know, man. Anyway, I think is my background music? Weird, it shows 1 for you. No, I'm even checking. It still shows 0 for me. Isn't that really weird? People the other day were mentioning it. They're like, oh, it shows this many viewers when we click on the stream, and I'm like, what? It only shows like 2 or 3 for me. That's so weird. I like my model actually moving. I like knowing that it's moving. It's really good. But yeah, thank you for checking audio and checking background music, Roots. I appreciate it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have a little yapping session today because I don't know, the writing on stream today, I'm just not in the mood for it. Not in the mood. So yeah, I think today's gonna be some chatting, some yapping about writing subjects. But I don't think I'll do as much writing on stream today. It's just not the vibe. Not the vibe. Oh, what happened to my chat box? It like moved a bit. There's a lot of things with technology I don't know about. Oh well. I'm not gonna stress about it. But yes, for anyone here joining, today's gonna be a yapping session. It's just gonna be talking, and today's yapping session, if I can focus on it for long enough, I want to talk about why writers should like their editors. I think in the writing community, in the author community, right, especially in professionals. Get rid of my ad. Hold on. I think there's a really big stereotype of authors like wanting to fight a lot of people that they have to work with when they are published authors in a big publishing house, not like self-published. And they normally, they don't like their agents, they don't like the publishing house and all the rules and stuff they do. And I kind of get not liking the publishing house because, you know, like you always want more money, you always want a better contract with the publishing house, right? You always want better timelines. And it can be rough to work with the publishing house. But then there's also, especially in older times, if there was like movies or TV shows about writers, there was this huge stereotype and this huge culture, I think, of writers hating editors. They would have a main editor that was tied to the publishing house, and they would hate them. They'd want to fight them in a parking lot behind a Denny's, right? They do not like editors because editors come in with those red pens, and they want to change things and move things around and make the starting chapter here and get rid of your prologue and make you do all this extra work after you finished your story. And I wish that stereotype wasn't around. I wish it wasn't as prevalent in the writing community. Because I think editors are your hardest working fans. You're paying them so that, you know, that they're kind of a paid fan to read all your work and fix it and do all those edits. But they are, with that money, with those fees, the hardest working fans you will ever have. They're your hardest working supporters, maybe is a better way to say it. And I think the reason why there's that thing is they're like, oh, well, if they're giving me corrections, if they're having me fix things, if they're having me change things, that means they didn't like it. And if they didn't like it, that means they hate it. And if they hate it, that means they hate me. I think there's that huge stereotype with writers and not liking those corrections in their work, when really an editor is trying to give those edits, give those feedback because they want everything to be better. They want it to be as polished and as nice and flow as greatly as it is in your head, right? Because I think authors view their stories better in their head, and it's a lot of work trying to get what's in your head on paper, right? It's a long process. It takes a long time to work on that craft. And an editor's job, all the different editors, right? There's multiple layers of editors. They're all focusing on ways to make that work better for your audience, for your other fans. And they're doing that because they see the potential. They're not over here doing these random corrections just because, it's a full moon and they were like, oh yeah, let's get rid of these chapters today. Let's change this prologue. Let's change this final chapter. No, they're doing it because they're like, okay, I see your vision. I see what you want to tell people. I see the story you want to tell. I think this is a better way to tell. I think this is the direction you should do, so that way the audience can tell what your vision is, right? And it's a lot of work and a lot of craft to focus on your story, right? If you're a writer, it's your story. So that way you get all the praise and credit for it, right? They're doing all that so you look as good and as polished as possible when your work is actually printed or published, like if it's online or something, like, it's not printed, but, this can just be for like beta readers. If you have beta readers who are trying to like do their best attempt at editing for you, if you're like a fanfic author, they're doing their best in order to catch everything that you might not want new readers to your fanfics or to your work to see. That you want to see it as finished and polished as possible, right? For those fans, for people in your fandom and community. And an editor's job is to help with that. They're not your enemy. You don't need to fight them in a Denny's parking lot. I don't know why there's so much animosity towards it. I get there might be a lot of fear if you do like the general education system. I think when you do writing assignments in school, right, if you have a lot of school, then you get graded, right? All those red mark corrections are grading, and the more red marks and corrections you have, the worse you did, and therefore the lower grades you have, right? All those corrections mean that you failed. And if you're in education, that's really hard, right? You didn't want to fail your assignment. You wanted to be good at your assignment. And so when it's adult life, right? If you're writing, as your career, if you're a writer, even if it's as a hobby, if you're in your adult life now, this is an adult thing you're doing outside of school. And when you see those corrections, you're like, oh, this person's like a teacher, like they're failing me. They're failing me for this passion project I have, for this writing work I wanted to do and get published. And they're not failing you. You're an adult now. You're out of school. They're not failing you. There's no way for you to fail. The only thing it is just the next part you gotta work on. That's it. That's all it is. It's just the next thing you gotta do. There's no failing when you're showing things to editors, unlike in school. And I think that's a really big difference that people need to approach it with. I think we have, K through 12, you're just going through high school, right, in America. And then you have college years, you'll still do it. And there's a lot of years you can spend in college writing essays and stuff. We're kind of trained in the education system to really hate those corrections, those suggestions on how to make things better or more precise, right, more clear. And every time you get those notes, it's like, oh, I failed, right? I got a bad mark. I got a C instead of an A. This happened instead of that. No good editor, how about that? No official professional editor is ever going around talking shit and like failing you as a client, right? You are paying them if you're indie, or they're doing it for free, or you're in a professional publishing house and the professional publishing house covers it, right there. You're their client and they're paying for editors to do it. And there's no failing. There's no way for you to fail, no matter how shitty your draft is. Doesn't matter. The only thing they're doing is to help you out. That's all they're doing. So let's see. I have this little Word document behind me. I was just like, oh, I want a little intro. I want to show what we're yapping about today. And I think instead maybe I'll try to get some typing done just to get my fingers working at typing some words today. I'm really slacking in my word count tonight. I'll try to get it done before I go to sleep, but For those who are new, it's a National Novel Writing Month, right? You try to write a lot of words and get projects done. And I wasn't quite feeling the rough draft I was working on from yesterday, so I thought maybe I would just yap and chat and hang out and maybe write a little bit about these subjects that I'm really passionate about instead. So let's go ahead and see. So writers should love their editors. A rant by Cryptid. What were we already talking about? We were talking about the schooling and education system. So let's go ahead and editing. And let's not correcting, but marking papers. Marking work in school are very different. You do not fail, right? We don't fail. That's what you're talking about. There's no failure when you show anything to your editor if they show you corrections to make. If you're in school, if you're in schooling, every time you see those red marks, it means that something bad happened. Your teacher's going to take points away from you. It's a negative mark on the work that you did. An editor is marking things. It's nothing against you. There was no failing. And I think we have, as we grow up, a lot of things we fail at, quote unquote, where we're marked against in our education system, in our work, right? If we work in retail, we even have like a employee times when we're rated in the company. That is not what editing is about. It is not to mark you and tell you that you suck and give you an F in a rough draft. The only thing it's for is to help you. It is just for you to be the best writer you can be and have the best work that you could, right? You do not fail at your writing when working with an editor. And you are not graded at how good or bad your writing work is. I think, just as a note for this, you're not graded at how good or bad your writing is. As a copy, it's not a grade. I will say some editors, especially if we're at the developmental or especially line editors do this too. If there's a lot of work that needs to be done on your novel or short story before it's at the publishing stage, and they're noticing and you're hiring them, right? Let's say you're an indie author and you're hiring these editors to look at your work before you publish. They might, if there's a range that the editor offers and there's a lot of work to be done, right? If it's a very, very rough draft, they might charge you on the higher end just because that's more work that they have to do. They have to mark more things and keep track of more errors. But that's still not you being bad. That's just more work you have to do. And I don't want people to be like, oh, well, the editor charged me their higher end of their quote. Like, that means they gave me an F as a client. No, that's not what happened. There was just more things for them to keep track of and mark and make a note of. And they had to be compensated for that time and that effort and rereading it over and over and over again. That's all it meant. That's all it is. There's that's why sometimes, I think especially if you're in the indie sphere, it happens sometimes with publishing houses, but really I notice it a lot with indie authors reaching out to independent editors. They actually offer two services. So editors come in a variety. There's developmental editors, there's line editors, there's copy editors, and then there's proofreaders as just like some of the basic ones. And a lot of them now, when they're working with, let me get rid of my ad.
A wider smile brightens more than just your teeth. Colgate Optic White's unique hydrogen.
A lot of them now, when they work with independent authors who just want their stuff edited before publishing, they offer two services normally. So it'll normally be developmental and line editing that they offer, or it's line and copy editing. I've even seen people offer like copy and proofreading, right? They normally offer two services together now. That's been a really big trend in the editing services I've seen offered online. There's, okay, between you and me, okay, right? There's some, and they offer all the services, right? They're like, oh no, I'm just overall the master editor. I'm the bestest editor. A lot of those are fake scammy things. A lot of them are. They're like an AI bot or something that's just trying to take your money and not charge like, oh yeah, give me $5 and I'll do developmental line copy, proofreading, edits, all the edits. Don't you worry. I'll have the edits done in like 10 minutes. that is when it's a bot. That's when it's not real. It's like an AI or something. And no, you won't find professionals who are worth the money offering all those services. They'll normally specialize in 1 to 2 services at the editing level. And that is because the same way you as an author, it's really hard sometimes to edit your own work. You're really close to it. An editor, to do all the services, they would be way too close to the work, right? They would do the plot edits for developmental, they would do the line edits and the sentence structure at line, and then their eyes are just going to glaze over when it comes to copy editing and grammar, right? They're going to keep skipping over stuff. That's why those jobs go to different editors in a publishing house. They'll at least have 2 to 3 separate people, if it's a good publishing house. If it's a really big one, I shouldn't say a big and a good publishing house. Those don't necessarily correlate. There's some really good smaller publishing houses, and their quality checks, the editors they work with, are really top notch, right? They have really good people that they work with. So, and there's a lot of complaints with readers now that some of those big publishing houses are kind of churning out a lot of garbage the past few years. Hasn't been the bestest. I've heard some bad notes from readers. A lot more spelling errors appearing in published books, like from the big 5. A lot more spelling errors, a lot lower consistency. The standard that they're doing, it's not what it was compared to like 10 or 15 years ago even. And I have theories. I've heard things on the grapevine, right? I have theories as to why that's happening. I think a lot of people in the writing communities have theories as to why that's happening. But I don't have it from like any particular publishing house. Like, oh yeah, I know the insider for this one publishing house. That's why they put out a shitty book. No. It's just trends, I think, in the market and in the working market too, right? The workers' market. I think there's just trends that's kind of leaning towards that and how that's working out. But anyway, that was me yapping again. I forgot to write more things on my Word document. Okay, so we have editing and marking from schoolwork are very different. You do not fail at your writing when working with an editor. You are not graded at how good or bad your writing is. I think I'll even put quotation marks here. And then I'll also do the extra line here. We were talking about how there's no failing, there's no good or bad, and more red marks or edits are not you or your work. Right? So there we go. That none of this is like personal to you. It's not an insult. It's not saying, oh, this story arc or this character arc is shitty. Here's how you do to fix it. It's saying it needs improvement, right? If you want this to have the big impact that you want it to, and I'm assuming that you want everything in your book to have a big impact because you spent all the time writing it, right? You racked your brain, you spent all those nights writing the rough drafts and the next draft and the fixes and the edits and thinking of your character sheets. If you did all that work, you wanted this to matter. You want that impact to reach your audience. And the editor's job is to look at it with a critical eye and be like, okay, I see what you want. You want me to care for this character, right? For character B, for character C's character growth, whatever it is. And it's not happening. It's not transferring on the page in its current state. Here's how we fix it. Here's how we make that happen for you. My model is not tracking me the best. I had it last time where I'm like, oh, okay, I had to fix where my camera is to get better tracking. I still had to mess with it, I guess, a bit. Let's try that. Do a little wiggle check here. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Still not perfect, but I think it's good. And that's what we're working on for all of November. Not perfect, but good. It's a good rough draft, and this is a good learning process for me, both as a VTuber and for doing this content, streaming it every day. This is my, fourth day in a row, I think, of streaming every day. And I've learned so much already. We've already done so many cool things.
¿Necesitas un video UGC
Oh my,
para tu
where is
negocio?
this?
Encuéntrame a mí y a muchos otros creadores talentosos.
I think I'll have to find a new little music thing because I do not like the amount of ads here. Alrighty. But yeah, we've learned so many things already. Now I have my chat box, hopefully, staying in the stream. We've learned more about the Windows and how we get these monitors and computers and laptops set up. We have a lot of machinery back here. I don't know what it all does, but it is working. At least I hope it's working. Otherwise, I'll be very embarrassed when I look at this playback later when I upload it to YouTube. It's been a lot of that the past few days of being really proud and spending hours on a stream and then looking back on it and being like, oh no. Oh no. That did not go the way I thought it would. You know, it's just a learning curve. And I'm learning a lot, so that might be a pretty good curve in my favor. Let's see here. So editing and marking from school are very different, right? We don't want that don't bring the fear of bad grades from school into your work with an editor. Okay. And that's a really important lesson, you know, not to have that fear or that anxiety. If you're at a stage where you're like, yeah, I want to publish and now I just need that last little look over, those last little checks to make sure this is publishing quality, whether or not you're indie or industry, whatever it is. Don't have that fear that now this person is going to point out errors and it's going to keep you from achieving that dream, right? Achieving that dream of publishing or self-publishing or posting it online. Nothing the editor can do here at this stage. If you're already at that level, the editor's not going to keep you from that. The editor's just here to help you reach that and have the best chance of good exposure once you have published it. Let's go. What's another good point we can talk about with writers should love their editors? Maybe we should talk about the different types of editors. Let's see. Types of editors. And then let's do developmental edits. I mentioned that a little bit briefly earlier about developmental edits. I think that's, from what I gather from the writing community, I think that's the one writers are least familiar with. That's not the one they think of at all when they think of an editor. We have developmental editor. We have a line editor, copy editor, and we have a proofreader. And I'll put general up here. There's more editors, but those ones can be really specific, and it would really depend on whatever work you do, right? And more specific ones too. So let's go ahead and start going through, like, what type of editor would you need for your work, right? What editor have you not considered actually using yet? Let me get rid of that general. I don't like the look of it. So Why I said I think a developmental editor is the least one writers are familiar with. I don't think writers, even if they're at the stage, right, where they're thinking of publishing, where they've written a lot for years and years and years, right? I think a lot of them don't know about developmental edit. I think if they think of editor, they actually think of a copy editor. Maybe some of them also think line editor, copy and line editor. I don't think a lot of them know about a developmental editor. A developmental editor is going to do very, 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 they might even work as early as your rough draft, as your plot outlines, right? Not always, but they can. Some of them do. Especially if it's an author that's like contracted to work for like multiple books or book series with some publishing houses. They might submit their rough drafts and their plot outlines for multiple books to a developmental editor or developmental audit at that stage. If they were like a big name, they do like tons and tons of series with the publishing house. The developmental editor is going to work on very broad or big picture. I think that's big picture edits. Broad. I meant to type broad. Oh my goodness. There we go. See, that was that was a copy edit right there. I need to proofread that. So, developmental editor, work on very broad, big picture edits. And I'm going to go ahead and do that, because I think that's a good word or phrase when you think of a developmental editor. I'll underline this guy too. I'll be all fancy. Right, there we go. That looks so nice now, right? It looks almost professional. I'm making like a professional little cryptid worksheet here. So developmental is going to work on very broad and big picture edits. And what does that mean, right? Like what do you mean? Just like the really broad generic spelling mistakes? What's happening here? No, it's going to be how character arcs are handled, are developed, how character arcs are developed. Are handled. How strong is the hook in the beginning? What else would they do? They would do, is the character's tone of voice consistent? No, that's what they do. They would do things like, are there chapters that are, I won't say boring. They wouldn't use the word boring. Are there chapters that are lagging or not serving the narrative? And even other stuff like, hello, welcome to the chat. It's a little bit of a different day today. It's a little bit different today. Today we're talking about we're just yapping and chatting today, and it's mostly about different topics. But I wanted to start off with why writers should stop hating on editors and beta readers and proofreaders and everything else in the writing genre today. Like, they need to get along. So if you want some chatting time, some yapping time, ask some questions, ask anything like that, that's what we're gonna kind of hang out and do tonight. Because I'll be honest, I just wasn't feeling like writing more of the rough draft today on stream. I was kind of hitting a mental block with that today. So I'm like, you know what? I'll write my word count off stream today, and I'll still yap and chat with people, right? Because I still really wanted to stream and hang out. But yeah, today we're talking right now about the different types of editors, because I figured a lot of people just think of one type of editor. They're like, oh yeah, they like check grammar and spelling, right? And no, like, there's so many editors. Right now we're talking about developmental editors and developmental edits, and those are very broad focus, very big picture of whatever story or script you're working on. It's going to be how your character arcs are handled, right? Is it a cohesive narrative for whatever the character is doing? is the character's tone of voice consistent, right? If the character sounds fancy in the beginning, do they always sound fancy, or do they randomly have like other times when it's like, no, that sounds like a it sounds like they randomly dropped in the middle of New York. Like, where did the accent go? Well, if I can do anything, it's yap. Yep. It's just gonna be a yapping kind of night for a while. What is it? Are the chapters like lagging, or do they not serve the point of the book? Like, if it's a whole book about like a group of people going together on a cool journey into dark caves and fighting a demon, and then you have 2 chapters dedicated to them doing grocery shopping. That doesn't that's a lot of pages dedicated to grocery shopping instead of fighting a demon in a cave or something, right? That doesn't serve the narrative. That's not serving your story. And they're gonna look at those big picture elements to be like, is it on track? If the tone of the beginning of the book sounds like a romance, and then randomly at the end it's kind of reading like Die Hard, like this action, adventure, explosions, and the romance is like dropped, they're gonna notice that. If you write 3 best friends for your character in the beginning and middle of your book, and then by the end of it only ever mentions 1, and you're like, hey, wait, where'd the other friends go? You forgot to mention them. You had like a cast of 20. Nothing happened to them. They're all alive. But by the end of the book, we only know what happened to 2 of them. What happened with your other characters? That is what a developmental editor is going to point out. They're going to be like, hey, keep track of your characters. Hey, keep track of your tone of voice. Sometimes past or present tense, like the tense or the voice of the writer, they'll make notes and comments on too. They'll be like, oh, you write really strongly. You go back and forth between past and present tense really inconsistently. But when you write in past tense, your voice is a lot stronger. When you write in present tense, it's a little harder for you to get your writer tone of voice through. I think you should rewrite this and do it all past tense, right? They'll give you notes like that. So when I was mentioning things like, oh yeah, you can have really shitty rough drafts right before you start editing, this is that time when you have a really shitty draft and someone's gonna edit it for you. They're gonna point out plot holes. Oh wait, I don't even think I mentioned plot holes. Yeah, plot holes, things like that. They're gonna point it out before you spend the time choosing the perfect words and the perfect sentences and all the cool imagery of things. They can look at things like this from the beginning, from when you have your very first shitty rough draft. They're gonna help you and they're gonna fix it. And it's gonna be no judgment if it's a good one, right? If they're a nice professional developmental editor, if they know what they're doing, they're just gonna look at your shitty rough draft and be like, oh, okay, here's the story you want to tell, right? They'll get what you're trying to convey. Here's the best way to do it, right? Like this is how your author voice works. This is the story you want to tell. If you do this, this, and this, it's going to be a lot better for you, right? It's going to make it much more clear for your readers in the future. If you have a good developmental editor, it saves you so much time. It's seriously a lifesaver. There's fully published books from big publishing industries, right? And you read those books and by the end of it, you're like, there is still a plot hole. There is a plot hole in this book. How does this make sense? I don't understand. The world building, right, in some books is very wonky. If you have a good developmental editor, they're gonna catch that. They're gonna catch that from the beginning before you do any grammar edits, right? They're already gonna catch it for you. So a good developmental editor is a lifesaver. No joke. And then we have our line editor next. And I think it's gonna be the line and copy editor that I think most writers are gonna be familiar with when they think of editors. That's what they tend to picture. And a line editor is, you'll see some houses, some people offer the services, they combine it, right? But as a technicality, these are different. A lot of places now are combining it. A lot of editors are going to do both now. But as a technicality, these are different. These were different roles, especially like 10, 20 years ago in the big publishing houses. these were all very specific, different editors the publishing house would have you work with if you were an author that was working with them. So when authors complain about the rounds of edits they do before publishing, this is the reason why, because it wasn't just like one editor that they would work with and they're like, oh, okay, like just do all these fixes. Okay, no, it wasn't like a round and round and round with one editor over and over and over again. It was, okay, here's all the edits from the developmental editor. Do all those fixes, write it all up. And then after that heartache and all that hard work was done, right? Then it was like, okay, here's the line edits from the line editor. Go do that round of edits. And they'd be like, oh shit, okay. Do all that work, hours and hours and hours, right? Days and days and days doing line edits. And okay, well here's, after you did all that, here's all the edits from the copy editor. Yippee! Here's how you fucked up all your commas. You're like, no! That would be your copy editor, right? And there would be the proofreader. There'd be, oh my god, it could be so many rounds of edits for these authors working with traditional publishing houses years and years ago, right? So if you hear complaints about that, that's what they were talking about. It was, I don't fault writers for being really tired of editing, especially if they were going through that process. That is brutal. That can be really mentally brutal, especially if they're trying to do something else, like they're trying to write a new book or the next book while they're doing those edits. Oh man, it can be bad. It can be rough. It was really mentally taxing for some writers. But I sidetracked myself onto another sidetrack. Copy and line editors are going to be more, instead of big picture, they're going to be narrowing in. A line editor could work at the chapter level. They're mostly going to work on sentence and paragraph level, right? That's what they're focused on. So we're going to have sentence and paragraph level here. Level focus here. And they're going to be the people who are going to go, oh, this sentence feels clunky. That's going to be what their edits are, right? This sentence reads clunky. They'll do things like, oh, you should specify, right? You should clarify. You said she 20 times. You need to clarify with the name. You need to break up all the she's with her name, right? In a work that you're working on. Clarify characters. What else would the line editor do? The line editor is going to, maybe, not always, but sometimes they'll even recommend, like they'll do the insert extra paragraph here notes, or even the delete. And that's sometimes the hardest one for writers. Delete unnecessary details. Details are descriptions here. I think the deleting stuff. Some writers, they don't mind it if they're adding more, right? That flushes it out. But when it comes to deleting, right? Deleting sometimes the the really bad one for some writers. We don't like it. We don't like deleting all of our hard-earned words. We spend a lot of mental effort and brain power writing those words, and they'll just come by like, nah, just get rid of it. Get rid of it. So there, they'll have delete unnecessary details, add descriptions, insert extra things here. The sentence can read clunky. They'll have they'll work on the flow of how the sentence reads. That's why I said they work on if it's clunky. Work on better word and sentence flow. I can also put structure. I guess flow's a little artsy, huh? But maybe like the structure of it. How do they read? How do those feel back to back together? I had notes in my rough draft I was working on yesterday. I'm like, oh, I have a lot of really long sentences back to back to back. I don't have a lot of short sentences breaking it up. And I already knew that was going to be something I had to fix, right? So I made an edit. Oh, add more short sentences here. Add better sentence structure, right? Add better sentence flow. that was something I'm really gonna have to work on in December for that particular rough draft. So they'll ask. That was a line edit I was already making note of while I was writing. Both of the both of the editors, the developmental editor and the line editor, if they catch, right, if they happen to notice a spelling error or an incorrect comma or something like that, or an apostrophe, the wrong there, something like that, they'll mark it down. They'll fix it for you for a lot of them, right? If they happen upon it, if it's there, if they notice, right, if they remember. But really, all the proper grammar, all the proper punctuation, that's going to be your copy editor. To me, personally, this is like the most badass one here. This is like the scariest one mentally. I think this is the one I would be the most intimidated to talk to, if like person to person, like not even just writing, just like knowing them as a friend and like sending them text messages or emails or stuff, because like they know so much shit. They would know so many errors. They would know everything. Their brains are huge. Copy editors are really they know too many things. I don't like copy editing. I'll catch some fixes. I'll catch errors here or there. I'm like pretty passable. But man, a copy editor, a really good copy editor, a really experienced professional copy editor, knows like rules of grammar you and I have never seen before. You and I ain't never seen it before. So yeah, I'm gonna put over here, focus on each and every individual word for punctuation, grammar, spelling, etc., right? I also do formatting a little bit here. Some of them do formatting. There we go. That's what they're going to do. This, the copy editor, is what I think a lot of authors think of when they hear the word editor. So those are the main three. I think in general, as a general thing, these are the three that are like the biggest. There's the proofreader too, but I think the industry is trying to squish proofreader and editor or copy editor closer and closer together. A lot of places aren't, right? But I'm seeing people trying to squish those together, and I'm also seeing people trying to squish copy and line editor together.
Fear not what lies
So
ahead.
many ads.
The 6 dragons shall.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah. So yeah, I see it's definitely a trend if you're an indie author and you want to do indie publishing. A lot of editors that you will hire, right? If you want to edit your work before you do indie publishing, a lot of them will do two. I was saying this earlier, so they'll do developmental edit and line edit, or they will do line edit and copy edit, right? There's a lot of them offering like a 2-for-1 service, right? They're trained in like two things. I very rarely, I don't think I've ever seen it, for me personally, and you know, that's a limited point of view, there's a bias, but I've never seen a developmental and a copy editor. Those are a little bit too far apart. Normally it's going to be a line editor in developmental or a line in a copy if they're combining services. And we talked earlier, if it's something crazy like somebody offering developmental, line, copy edit, proofreader, all the different things as one person, just one individual who can do all that, I haven't seen it where it's not a scam, where it's not like an AI bot thing, right? If it's someone offering all of those, it's like a bot. No like really high-end editors. Hello, welcome in everybody. It's so good to have you. Welcome on in. I hope this isn't too silly to have in writing and reading over here, but today we're talking about editors. We're talking about different types of relationships editors have. Hello, it's so good to have you in here. I hope my audio and music is okay. I hope my model's moving okay. I always get so nervous when more people are in. I'm like, oh, if if anything's wonky, more people are gonna see me be wonky. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a good time just listening and chatting and yapping with me about editing and writing. Everything is fine. Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much. Roots normally checks for me. That's going to be my mod. It's going to be Knitbone that you see earlier. They normally check stuff for me, but you know, sometimes they let me act silly on camera because it's funny. You never know. You never know. But yeah, today we're talking about different types of editors right now and why I think a lot of authors don't like editors, or there's that stereotype, right? That trope, especially in like old movies and TV shows about writers, that they don't like their editors. And I think that's really bad. I feel that my mods have let me stream muted for an hour before. Oh no. Listen, I feel ya. I feel you so bad. It was, I had an earlier playthrough of some games. I was doing some game demos and stuff. And, it was the characters didn't speak, but there was a lot of like text between them. So I spent multiple hours and hours. I was reading all the different characters' voices, and I gave them all different voices. So they had different accents, different voices, and I read every single bit of dialogue for hours. And then I ended the stream, and I was so proud of myself because I thought I did really good. I really liked the voices. And then I uploaded it to YouTube afterwards, and there was no audio for me. There was none. And I went to Roots, and I'm like, wait, what happened? Was my audio not on? And they were like, oh no, I thought you were talking the whole time. I thought you were just having a silent stream. And I'm like, no. They let me yap and lose my voice for hours reading all this dialogue. It was like Grimshire, reading all this dialogue, and none of it got saved. Oh my goodness. Roots is my younger sibling, so I could not I could not hurt them. But oh my goodness, for a split second there, I was like, Cain instinct. They were about to get banned in real life. Oh my goodness. But no, there's a lot of funny things I've done while I'm learning to stream. Hello. Knitbone is Roots. They're my mod over here. So, as much as I talk shit about them sometimes, Roots or Knitbone is the one person you had to be nice to in chat. They have all the mod powers. There's no one else who's higher than them here. And honestly, if I'm being totally honest with you guys, they could absolutely like ban one of you guys, and I would have no idea. I would never notice. I wouldn't pay attention to it. I'd be like, that person's quiet now. What happened? Like, Roots eliminated you. So, if there's anyone you had to be nice to, it's Knitbone in chat. That's the one person you gotta respect and be nice to. But for me, I'm fair game, okay? I'm fair game. I'm gonna be talking about a lot of silly stuff. I would never. I have 4 siblings. I'd punch them. No. My brother is a mod for me as well. Yes, it's so good recruiting siblings for stuff because when they're your sibling, it's free labor. Don't listen to the streets. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, but yeah, siblings are free labor. It's great. But no. I'm nice to them. Now my brother takes over my stream. Really? Just chat like them more? Just chat like your brother more? That's so funny. Like your all chats like, oh, hey, wait, it's the brother. The brother's in now. Let's party. That would be so funny. Spams loud alerts, bans people I'm having fun beefing with. Oh no. Okay, so here's what you do. This is what you do when you have multiple siblings, okay? This is true, honest advice. Okay, we're not talking about editing no more. Okay, this is more important. What you do, if there are multiple siblings in your household, right, and you have any degree of authority, you need a ranking system. You need a preference system, and I need that stuff updated every hour, if not every day, but every hour is better. Right? I need like, oh, one of them looked at you funny. One of them made something stinky in the bathroom. That they went down the totem pole. They are not your favorite sibling anymore. They lose sibling perks, right? There needs to be a competition. That way, in case there's ever a zombie apocalypse, there's ever a survival scenario, and you can only choose one sibling to save, there's a favorite sibling you're gonna choose, and they need to know that. Okay, and it needs to be it needs to be updated constantly. Sometimes for no reason. Just to keep them on their toes. If there's one sibling that's like always kind of the nice sibling to you, you need to keep them in check. You can't let them get comfortable. You need to put them in like second place randomly one day. I just renamed them my contacts. That's a good start. But no. I need a ranking. I need you to put it on their fridge. Like, you need to break into all their houses. You need to put a ranking system on their fridge, right? They need to know. They need to know. And in case the apocalypse happens and you can only save one, you already know which one you're gonna save. And it's not the other three. I'm just saying. We have, I have Roots, who's the younger sibling, but our family, we have a poodle sibling. So my mom has a poodle, and we joke around and say that's our little brother, right? So I have Roots, and I have this poodle. Those are my siblings. And oh my goodness, there is definitely a ranking system sometimes. My older brother is mentally challenged. My little sister, oh, okay. So there's like a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of things to be like considered for it. Has anger issues, and my younger sister is the gremlin. Okay. I get it. Yeah, you do have to be aware of stuff like that. Yeah. So you're actually a really good sibling, keeping stuff like that in mind. I'm over here trying to turn you to a bad sibling. My bad. I'm over here giving you bad advice. I'm the little devil on your shoulder. I'm like, hey, hee. Go in here. Break into their houses. My bad. But yeah. I do have a poodle younger brother, my Mama Cryptid's poodle. And so he's our little brother. And oh my goodness, sometimes it's like, okay, me and the poodle, we're the only siblings. That's it. Just me and the poodle. Roots, get out of here. And then other times me and Roots will team up and we'll be like, nope, that poodle is dead to us. Nope, he's betrayed us one too many times, right? I can't believe he's the favorite child. We always say the poodle's the favorite child. To find I'm a little devil on my own shoulder. Yeah, see? Well, then I don't need to help you. See, I'm just being an extra bad influence. But yeah. There's for some families, I really encourage it. There should be a ranking system between siblings. It keeps everyone on their toes. It gives that little extra encouragement sometimes to behave, right? Like, oh, watch it. You're gonna go down the ranking system. It's gonna be me and the 3 other siblings against you. But yeah, today we are talking about how I think there's a lot of negative energy, or a lot of negative vibes, or a lot of stress, right? A lot of stress and worry about authors and their editors, even if it's an indie author and they're paying for an indie editor, or if you are a author that got a contract with a publishing house, right? And now you have to do all these rounds of edits. Oh. I have all these different ads here. I need them gone. Get out of here.
When someone's in the way of your perfect shot, polish your photo with one easy
There you go.
click.
Now it's gone. I have a little Jackie. She's a little gremlin too and gives hella younger sibling vibes. Oh! Jealous when others get attention, always begging for your food. Yep. See? Yeah, a dog is basically another sibling. I'll be really honest. I know some people paint them as like their babies, like that. Should the chat box be smaller? Oh, maybe it should now. Oh, I didn't notice that before. The chat box is brand new for us. I haven't had the chat box until now. Let me try. How's that? I think now I just click off it. Maybe that's a little bit nicer to read. I think that should be good. I think that's good. But I can only see it on a small little window in OBS. Yeah. It's a sexy new chat box. We've upgraded. We're so fancy now. I guess it's been funny for the past little while. I only got this VTuber model working. The last few, like yesterday or the day before, like just recently. Every time I have been streaming without me knowing it, in OBS I can see the model move and have all the jiggle physics. But I guess on stream she was just a little frozen character like this in the corner, like she wasn't moving. And we finally fixed it. So my little cryptid girl over here can move around and you can see her, and it's so exciting. It's still not perfect, but oh my goodness, compared to just being like in the corner. It's a lot better. It's a lot better. I felt so embarrassed looking back on those streams. But yeah, over here, let's go ahead and show. What are you doing? What are you doing? No, ghost, please. Please, no. Okay, I'm so sorry. There was a cat trying to jump on a laptop. Okay, what is this? What's happening here? Now that the cat's been yeeted off a laptop. I'm so far away from an editor. I still got over half a book left to go for my first novel. I'm at 24,000 words right now. You should be so excited. You should be so proud. That's amazing. That's so much hard work done. But honestly, we were talking earlier, and I say, once you have a plot outline or a rough draft, and I'm like a really rough draft, like a shitty rough draft, right? Like a rough draft can look ugly. I'm going to be done before the end of the year. That's really exciting. I'm really hoping for you. That sounds great. But yeah, a rough draft can look ugly. A rough draft can be shit, right? You have a lot of shit in there that you haven't figured out yet. You can have plot holes. It can have all the stuff. And when you're at that level, that is when you're at getting a developmental editor, right? Because for a developmental editor, they're not going to be checking grammar and punctuation, spelling it, or your line edits. They're going to be looking like, oh, this is the story you're trying to tell, right? This is what you want to accomplish. This is the themes. This is that. But here's the best, right? Here's stuff you add in before you finish your nice fancy manuscript, right? This is what you have to fix. This is how the character arc should be tidied up. This is a plot hole you have to address. This world building is good for you to know, but you don't need to add it in this chapter, right? This prologue's gotta go. It's gotta be rearranged. You need to insert this information later, right? They'll work with you on this big picture stuff when it's all still really shitty before you've used the brain power for good words, right? You don't have to write good, right? It just has to be done. That's when you use a developmental editor. Yeah, I rough draft per chapter, then expand it, then move on to the next chapter. Then I start expanding it more into a manuscript. Yeah, that's really good. Even if you hadn't expanded it for each chapter, even if you just had a rough draft of everything, there can be a developmental audit, right? That's not a full developmental editor, like going through everything. It's just like a short, sweet developmental audit where they give you like a few pages at the end, and they'll notice things. They'll be like, oh, like that your ending's here, but it's like really quick and then it just stops. You need a something else here, another scene to pad out your ending. Or this chapter's really cool, but I think it should be in between chapter 3 and 4 or something, right? They'll give you those edits before you expand on it. And is that necessary? No, especially if this is like just for you, if it's just for fun. But I do know a lot of authors, once they realize that there are editors that do that have these developmental audits or developmental edits, they're like, oh, it saves me so much time. I didn't have to finish writing out like a fully fleshed chapter 3, right? Just for an editor to go like, oh, delete chapter 3. Like, you don't need that. It could have been before I wrote out all those fancy words, right? There would have been an editor being like, that chapter, that grocery shopping scene is not necessary in your high action fantasy, right? Like, let's get rid of chapter 3. You don't need it. You just make it like a throwaway sentence in chapter 4 that they went grocery shopping, but you don't need a whole chapter. And it saves you so much time. It saves you so much work. I really am, not that every author needs to, but the ones that do, I think they really appreciate that, of like, oh, you saved me so much time. I don't have to write a chapter just to delete it. Right? You know, like it's really good. They can be a really big lifesaver. There are some authors that work with publishing houses, right? And they are contracted to write a book before they've written the book. A lot of people are used to like, oh, I finished a book, now I'm going to seek an agent, and then that agent's going to try and get me a contract with a publishing house. There are certain types of writers, and they are contract writers for publishing houses. And you'll see them a lot. They normally work on like series, like really quick short series. And those ones, in order to have the fast turnaround time they need to finish those contracts, they'll have it where they just plot something out, and they'll have like a really detailed plot outline that will then get the developmental audit from the publishing house, right? And they'll give feedback like, oh, hunger, I'll be cooking the background side for you. No, it's all good. It's all good. I think they'll hear Ghost the kitty before they hear you. Ghost was the one trying to jump on the laptop a second ago. But yeah, they'll show their plot outline to this developmental editor that works with the publishing house. And the developmental editor will be like, oh, okay, you want this? But I think your entire B plot, right? Your A plot is good. Your B plot, stupid. I don't like it. It's boring. Everyone share with the chat. I'm hungry too. Starve. Go ahead and starve. You're stuck here with me. You can only eat your edits. No. But yeah, they'll actually work with it when it's just that plot outline. And they'll be like, your B plot? Before you write anything, fix your B plot. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Yeah. That B plot, do something else. They'll even look at characters like, oh, okay, here's this whole plot you have for an adventuring party. It has 7 characters. I'll be real honest. 3 of them, I don't like 3 of them. Get rid of 3 of them, right? The other 4 can stay. You need to tighten up their character arcs. But those other 3, save them for another story. Do something else with them, but get them out of here. I don't want to read their names ever again. And that saves you so much time from writing like, oh god, here's all these scenes with 7 characters I'm juggling in this adventuring party, right? And they have to go through and do all these, and I'll make one of them the tank, and there's gonna be 2 healers, and I'm gonna give them all these roles, and this one's gonna fight the goblins, and this one's gonna fight the dragon. No, before you even started, you're like, get rid of 3 of them. You only have 4 to work with. And you're like, oh, that makes it a lot simpler. That saved me so many words that my brain doesn't have to come up with now. So yeah, I'm not saying it's necessary for you, especially if you're so far along in your book already. You already have 27,000 words. That's so great. But there's a lot of people, if they're starting to work on a story, and in November there's a lot of people starting to write on their story, starting to write the rough draft and plot things out. There's a lot of them that are like, oh, yeah, I could use a developmental audit. I could have somebody point out, hey, like, you had this whole entire murder mystery written in present tense. That's the how you want to do it. It would actually work better if you wrote in past tense. You should do past tense instead. It would fit the writing style better, right? And you're like, oh, they save you so much time. You didn't have to write the whole thing and then rewrite it with a different tense. They tell you beforehand. It can be really helpful. It can save you a lot of work. So if you're ever wondering, there's some authors who write like book series and there's like 2 or 3 new books every year, right? How do they do it? How do they get those things done so fast? Those early edits, those early plotting fixes, save them a lot of time. And that's really good because they're under contract, so they want to get those books like out of there. They want to get them published year after year after year, right? Because they're under contract. I hate the different times. I'm not native English. That shit can be confusing sometimes. Oh yeah. See, I would. Bear, what are you making noises at, Bear? I didn't ask for your opinion. Chat didn't ask for your opinion. No. Sorry, there's a poodle over here trying to talk. He was messing with the cats. But that kind of stuff, even if you have it wrong originally, like something wonky ends up in your manuscript, that would be something that a later editor might even cover. Like, oh, okay, there's this time zone or these time differences you're not familiar with. The line and copy editor, sometimes even proofreader, might go through and spend that time later on doing all of that. I don't feel like I need the first editor, but the other 2 are just something I would need. Yeah, like I said, it's definitely not something a lot of people need. I just think it's a developmental editor, even though not everyone needs it. I feel like there's a lot of people who don't know they exist. That's like I was doing rough drafts every single day now, right? And I was showing, like, they're really shitty rough drafts. They are rough drafts. They are ugly rough drafts. 0 out of 10 rough drafts kind of thing, right? And I was even doing things like, rather than getting stuck on a word or getting stuck on a sentence, I would write in notes like, oh, insert like cool dialogue here. insert a cool sentence, insert another short sentence here, there's too many big sentences, that's a plot hole, figure out the plot hole later. And then I would just keep going with my plot hole. And people in chat were noticing, and they were like, oh wait, like what, there's a plot hole, there's this, what do you mean insert line, like what are you doing? I thought you were writing. And I'm like, yeah, that will be fixed in the edits. And they were like, that's not fixed in edits, that's not what editing is. And I'm like, yeah, it is, that's developmental editing, we cover that in developmental edits. And they were like, what? They only know editing as a copy or line editor, is fixing the grammar. Oh my goodness, everyone in chat's been so great. I've only ever had problems with bots, can you believe it? It's this one. I don't know how to do it. Hey bot, you're famous. Right, I am famous. Hey Roots, when you're done cooking, I don't know how to delete the thingamajigs. Would you mind like banning them with your ban hammer? Would you mind smiting them? Roots is really happy with their smiting powers. It's very vicious. It's very strong. Oh, here they come. Oh, you guys might hear Roots. You guys might hear Roots. This is monumental. They had that one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, see, I don't have that power. It's just your power.
Yeah, I have no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. You're asking me to do work? In my chat? Asking me to do work? Then it's the first one next to the name should be the band. Nah. Roots is going all the way to the other side of the house. Okay, they're traveling. They're walking. They're leaving their food. They're going to the other side of the house. They're going back onto their monitor. They're logging back on. They're gonna check stream, and then they're gonna do it. See? Why? Because that's what they do. I don't do that. I'm a passenger princess in my chat. You know, I gotta keep them working. I gotta keep Roots doing something. It makes them feel really helpful. Thank you, Roots. But what was I saying earlier? Oh my goodness, I got so distracted. Which is really what I wanted today. I'm like, I want a chatting day. I want to talk. I want to gab. I want to yap away. And this is really good. I really like it. But yeah, I was saying that everyone I've had in chat for the past few days has always been so good. Alright, I gotta love you and leave you. It's 4:31 a.m. I gotta get some sleep. You do gotta get some sleep. I hope you have some wonderful sleep, and thank you for stopping by and chatting with me for a bit. You have a good one, and be so proud of your writing, and I hope you enjoyed writing some more, okay? Have a good night. Poor Roots, I can see them. Oh, and they're offering me a drink. I make them work, and then Roots comes and gives me a drink. I love it. It's not like an adult drink. This is safe for cryptids to drink. This is a red Gatorade. Hail Hydrate. You're welcome. Hope to catch you again sometime when you are in my chat. I'd love to. That sounds great. Have a wonderful night, hon. I was really enjoying a lot of the chats in this community, actually. I'm in the, for anyone who watches this on YouTube later, in case anyone checks in, this is in the writing and reading genre of Twitch, and it's been so nice. It's been so cozy and welcoming. Everyone that's come into my chat, besides for the bots, right, there was still a bot problem on Twitch, but all the actual chatters have been so great. I was so nervous to start streaming because, you know, like, it's the internet. I know there would be like trolls and stuff. There might not be like very positive people, but honestly, I've been so blown away. I haven't actually met one bad like real life person. There's been bots, but of like the real life interactive chatters, oh my goodness, everyone's been so wonderful. It's been such a good community over here. I've been really proud of everyone. I actually got raided by somebody else. They joined my stream, and they brought like 5 people with them. Right, that was crazy for me because I was brand new still. I'm still brand new. And all the chatters they brought, there was like all these first time chatters, and I'm like, oh, like I hope everyone's nice. I hope everyone's good. They were all so nice and polite and supportive, even after seeing my shitty redraft. They were seeing me at my worst. They were seeing my model not move. That was just in the corner, and I had a shitty draft on the screen, and they were all still so like nice and supportive. The writing genre, the reading writing genre here on Twitch has been so nice. I've popped into some other people's streams, like that Raider, I went back into their stream the next day, and just a few others here. I've been lurking, right, like a little cryptid. I've been lurking in people's chats. Everyone's been so nice. It's been so calming and relaxing here. I really like it. I'm really glad when I started seriously streaming every day, that I started it in this genre. I was doing some gaming demos earlier too, and I still had really nice people there, right? And it was really good. It was a really good intro there still. But oh my goodness, the reading writing category over here. Category, that's what they call it. The reading writing category has been really great. So if there's any other writers or people lurking here in chat who are thinking like, oh, I want to read or join the writing demo here, and they want to live stream too, this has been a really great experience for me. I would really recommend people starting here. It's been really awesome. I've met a lot of cool people here already. What were we talking about? We were talking about different types of editors. And yeah, any other chatter was mentioning, like, a lot of people, and I agree, do not need a developmental editor, especially if you're just writing, right, your rough draft, like, straight off the cuff and stuff. What is it, plotters and pantsers, if you're familiar with that term. I think a lot of pantsers don't need a developmental editor at the plotting stage because they didn't plot, right? They're going out the seat of their pants. So that's obviously not needed before you start writing. This is mostly before you start writing. If it's before you write your rough draft, it's gonna be the professional, like, who have contracts and they have to write the book for a publishing house, and they have to write like 1 or 2 books every year. A developmental editor at the plotting stage is really, really good. I think after your rough draft is finished, right, after it's all done, if you're planning on going indie, this is then the first person you get, right? Because they're gonna point out they're gonna point out your plot holes. They're gonna point out the character inconsistencies. They're gonna tell you like, hey, you have 5 best friends for your main character. That's too many. You just need 1 best friend. You just need 1 or 2 best friend characters, right? Delete the other characters. Get them out of there. Get them out of the manuscript. You write things like, oh, you wrote in past tense. I think your voice is stronger when you write in present tense, right? Or this is like a third person all-knowing point of view, right? Like you're writing from everyone's point of views and it's spoiling some cool details. You should write in a third person limited point of view. They'll tell you things like that before you start the next rounds of edits. So I think if you're going with editors, this is definitely the first one you get done.
One of
That's
these people uses the Colgate
these
Total
ads.
Active Prevention System.
Let's get rid
It's
of that.
15 times more effective at fighting.
There we go. Deleted the ads. I do the work of skipping those ads. That is the one thing I do. Roots does not do that. I'm skipping the ads. But otherwise, Roots does a lot of the work around here to make things work. They're a very hard-working raccoon for me. A line editor and a copy editor. I said if you are indie publishing, right? If you're planning to go indie or solo, sometimes you can find editors who do both services. For these, they combine. They're like, oh, I do line and copy edits. If you have an unlimited budget, if this is the greatest thing ever and you're investing all your money in it, I still recommend if you can get, because if you have them as 2 separate people, that's 2 separate pairs of eyes on your work, right? If there's 2 separate pairs of eyes for these jobs, that's more likely they're going to catch those errors and those edits you need to do. But there are, if you're on a budget and you still want to indie publish, right? There are people who combine line and copy editing. But generally, there's some people, especially, I feel so bad, there's a lot of people in the older generation who are trying to self-publish and do self-published books now, right? And that's so great for them. I'm so happy that they're like following their dreams and they're doing those big goals like that. But they're falling for scams a lot, and they lose a lot of money because they see like some ad on like Fiverr or something, or some ad somewhere on Facebook, right, in groups of like somebody offering like, oh, I'm a developmental editor and a line editor and a copy editor and a proofreader. I'll get all these edits done for you in like 1 day turnaround time. And that is, to anyone who like knows how long editing takes and knows that these are different jobs and different professions, like professionals, that's very obviously a scam, right? That's somebody who's gonna feed your work into like an AI machine or something and pop out random edits or not even give you anything at all, right? It could just be a scam artist who isn't gonna give you any edits back. They're just gonna take your money. Very, very rarely. I personally have never seen an actual like real life human being who's not a scam artist, who's not a bot, who's not a scam artist, who offers as a professional all 4 of these edits. Those are just, they're so different. They're so very different. Nobody specializes in all 4 because then you're not specializing. Nobody does that. So if you are indie publishing and or just doing things for fun, and you need to just have the budget for like 1 or 2 editors, it's realizing which way your story is the weakest at. If your grammar is pretty good in your indie publishing, but like your plot and pacing is like it's so you know that you're new at it, it's not so very good, I would try to find somebody who does developmental and line edits. They would help you a lot. That'll be the one editor you focus on. And then if your concept of story and the crafting of story is really, really good, and your pacing solid and your character arcs are pretty nailed down, but you you don't like all the commas and the apostrophes and the there's, then I would just focus on a copy editor, maybe a copy line editor, because again, I said some people do 2, they just don't do all 4. But yeah, that would be my best recommendation. If you are indie publishing and you only have the budget for 1, choose whichever one is your weakest link, right? Because then that's, for the money, gonna give you the most impact on your work before you indie publish. If you are a author who's been accepted by a publishing house, right? The publishing house, you have an agent, the agent got you into a publishing house, you're at that track record, there should be no, absolutely no. There's never any time when a publishing house has you cover the edits, right? Where you get accepted to the publishing house and they're like, oh, now you have to pay for all these editors in-house to work for you. That is not how it works. A publishing house covers the editing cost. And that's what it is. So a publishing house has editors they work with. Not a lot of them are in-house, especially now. There's less and less in-house publishers. They source it out to freelance editors they like, especially at the line editor phase. I think if there's normally a head editor, right, like who manages the editing department of a publishing house, and then sometimes they have a developmental editor. I think it's those upper ones. They keep those in-house. They're under contract with the publishing house. But a lot I'm hearing of like copy editors and line editors are still freelance, but then they just frequently work with the publishing house. That's kind of where publishing is turning. They still work with freelancers. But the publishing house covers the cost of these editors to give you those edits for your work. If a publishing house or an agent is trying to like make you pay money for an editor, run, look the other direction, never speak to them again. It's a scam. Save yourself. That's the big. I see that a lot with like horror stories of like new young authors, and they're trying to get accepted for stuff, and they get so excited, right? Because being in the agent trenches is really hard. So there's like this agent or a publishing house that reaches out and they tell you all the great things. They say that your book's the next bestseller. They love it. Just pay them $3,000 for the edits. And you're like, well, especially like young writers, they're like, oh, well, if that's what I need to do, okay, I'll invest in that. Ask my parents to invest in that, my grandparents, whatever. And no, that there is no publishing house where it's, unless it's like a vanity press or something, but a vanity press doesn't even do that. They just publish it whatever state your book is in. So yeah, they just charge you money just to publish it, even if it's like the most incomprehensible stuff ever, right? So no, there shouldn't be a publishing house that charges you for edits, to work with their editor. So that's kind of the difference. Indie publishing, you're on your own. You gotta cover, if you want it to look really professional, polished, you gotta hire your own editor. But I would say if it's just a hobby, just try to get everything like copy line edits, make it all cohesive, make it really readable. If it's just a hobby that you're self-publishing, if you're trying to make this your job, like a career, you want to be like a famous independent author, right? Indie author. Sadly, if you want that next level polish, if you want to be the best of the best and stand out in your field, it is going to take the work of hiring the multiple editors. And I know that that's really intimidating. You can break it down. Like I said, some editors do two. So you'd have a developmental line and then maybe a copy editor who's a proofreader. So you can maybe get away with just two. But that is still the budget for having two really, really good editors. And I know that that's really intimidating. So that's why I say, if it's just a hobby, if it's just for fun, if you just want to publish just because you want to get published and share it with people who might like it, it is all good. It's all good. But if you had those expectations of being the best of the best, it does take that investment in getting some really strong, some really, not just any good editors, but editors who also understand your work, who understand what you're trying to do, right? Because I would even think that there's some editors, I'll be fully honest, you'll try a test edit. Oh, I'll even write about it. Let's go over what a test edit is. A test or a sample edit, you'll see both. Test or sample edit. And a test or sample edit, when you're working, if you're indie and you want to have an editor work on your stuff, you might first, before you pay them thousands of dollars or multiple thousands of dollars, right? It can be really expensive if it's a big book, if it's a novel, rather than just like a short story or something. If it's a novel,
I had actually
let me get rid
never
of this
built
ad.
a
Hold on.
website before,
You're
but
banned.
Fiverr had exactly what I needed for us
Fine.
to go from idea.
If it is a novel, some of these edits are not cheap. It's not like, oh, just spend like don't just slide somebody $5 and they'll edit your whole manuscript. It's an investment. It's money. That's why the fact that a publishing house covers it is really big perk if you do traditional publishing. But a test sample edit, before you fork over all that money, you need to make sure that you're compatible with that editor, that they see your vision, they see what you're trying to accomplish with your writing, they work in the genre, they know what the fuck they're doing, they're not just like a scam artist. So you do a test or a sample edit where you normally provide a set amount of words or pages for a editing demo. Make sure you guys are compatible. With the vision and edits. Okay, so that's what we have here. So yeah, you would hand it over, and it would change on the editor. There's not like a one set standard for all the editors. Some of them might be like, oh, give me the first 3 pages, and someone might be like, oh, give me the first 5,000 words or something, right? Like, it's whatever standard they want to set, especially if it's a freelance editor. And you hand over that amount of work, and you wait at whatever the turnaround time is, right? It could be like a week or something if it's just a small thing. If they're like a really famous one, it might be like a month or 2, right? But you wait the turnaround time, and they hand you back that small amount of pages or words with their edits, with their recommendations on what you should do. And you can see from their edits, does this person see the vision, right? So like, let's say you're writing a really quirky rom-com, right? And the voice of the characters and the voice of the narrator is really, really funny and offbeat, and there's a lot of inside humor, and it's like really jokesy and cutesy, and it's like a new tone of voice. Not a lot of people have it, and you want that for this like rom-com book that you're writing, right? And that's the vision. That is the vibe you are going for. If you then get an editor who specializes in, let's say, historical reenactment fiction, right? Like very, very serious, a lot of like war novels, a lot of high-end violence fantasy, that kind of stuff, right? He's a very good editor at that. And they give you the edits. They might have the edit where it's like, hey, this quirky narrator voice and all these cutesy jokes and stuff, it's not good. I don't vibe with that. You should change the author voice, right? And you'll look at that edit and you'll be like, oh, no, this person doesn't get the vibe. They don't get what I'm trying to accomplish right? That they're not on the same wavelength as me. What is this thing over here doing? I don't get why that was scrolling so much. But so then you would find maybe an editor who works more with rom-coms, with quirky offbeat rom-coms, right? Like silly stories, like comedies and a little bit of romance. And you would send a test edit to that editor and wait for their feedback, right? They would send you the notes back and be like, oh, this voice is great. Here's 1 or 2 jokes that didn't land or that you might need to tighten up. But that those notes help you with that cutesy, funny, jokesy voice you're trying to go for, right? Because they got the vibe. They are going to give you the notes to make that vibe work, right? They understand you guys are on the same wavelength. And then they do the other edits like, oh, okay, and then this character is really funny, but then the other best friend is also really funny and they have the same sense of humor. I think the other best friend character should be like play more of like the straight man character in comedy, so that they should be more like serious. That way like the jokes kind of like bounce off her. That might be a better dynamic for the book, because you don't want both characters to have the exact same sense of humor. And you'll be like, that's a great note, this person gets it, compared to that first editor who was like, oh, I don't see it. And that doesn't mean that first editor was bad. That first editor works really, really good in a different genre, for a different voice, for a different author. So you need to find an editor that matches your vibe. Is this the writer-editor version of Match Your Freak? It might be. So they need to match your freak. They need to match the vibe. They need to understand what kind of story you're trying to tell. And they will give you notes on how to best achieve that story in your head, that vision. And that's what the test sample edit does. Because if you had spent thousands of dollars on that first editor for your quirky rom-com romance, right? He would have given you all these notes that wouldn't have achieved the vision, because he had a different vision. Now that you got the good notes of somebody who is aligned with what you want to do from the second editor, now you're like, oh, these test edits are great. This person gets it. Now I fork over so much money, so much cash, so much green. I hand them all the money, and now they're gonna work on your whole manuscript. They're gonna work on your whole rough draft and give you those edits. And you can trust them now because they kind of got it. I should highlight this. I should bold it. But yeah, I think that the test or sample edits are really, really important for choosing that working relationship with an editor if you're indie and you're choosing your own editor. I think if I was an indie author, right? If I was an indie author and I was in the marketplace for a freelance editor, and there was a thing, I reached out to them, I was trying to work with them, and they did not offer a sample edit or a test edit, I would be very skeptical, even if they were a really famous one, even if they were like a really great, like high achieving, famous, like celebrity editor or whatever, right? Like they roll out the red carpet underneath his editor's feet, whatever the vibe is. I personally, if there's no sample or test edit I could get from them, I would keep working. I would choose a different editor, because it is, and I know this is a big issue now, especially for a lot of people, it is so much money you are investing in an editor to make the book work, to make it polished. And if that vibe, if that work connection isn't there, that's a lot of wasted money. I don't know a lot of people who have that kind of money just to throw away, right? And you'll see some horror stories on like the writing YouTube side of YouTube about people wasting money on scam editors or the wrong editors who didn't see the vision. And I wouldn't want that to happen to any of you. I'd say trust an editor who does a sample or a test edit. A lot of them do. I think that's kind of an unofficial official standard for a lot of freelance editors now. They have those sample test edits. The amount they do will vary, right? So some of them will be like, oh, just the first page. Some of them will be like 5 pages. Some of them will be like 10,000 words. Whatever the thing is. Let me get rid of this ad. I need a new way of showing music without the ads. There we go. But yeah, I would never, even if it was like a dream editor that I'd want to work with, and it came like highly acclaimed and it's all 5 stars in every single platform they were on, I would skip. I would, like, if it was a smash or pass, I would pass. No. I need that sample test edit to make sure that's the person who's gonna best handle my manuscript that I put blood, sweat, and tears in. Hi, welcome to the chat. Today we are yapping, we are talking, we are chatting away, and we are talking mostly about editors, but you know, we can talk about other stuff too. But today we're focused mostly on what types of editors there are, because I think a lot of authors don't know the different types of editors. I think developmental editor is the one they know the least about as a whole. Like, there's obviously some authors who do, but I think as a whole, a lot of authors just think of like a grammar editor, so like a copy editor. And then I also was talking about, I think there's a lot of fear from school, right? From growing up. It's 9 p.m. here, lol, it's not 5 a.m. right now. Oh no. Is it past your bedtime? It's all good. What time is it for me? It's almost 11 over here. That's crazy for me. It's late for a Florida cryptid, actually. Wow. I'm staying up late. Well, I stayed up later for some of these streams. It's been crazy. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people, if you go through just K through 12, right, just through high school, we have a lot of stuff. And then if you do make the choice to go to like college level, right, there's a lot of fear and a lot of negative feedback if you're used to being graded for your papers, and you see those readings and you see those markups, because every time you have those, it's a negative mark against you, right? It took away from your grade. You're no longer an A student. That was a C paper because of these mistakes. Negative fault. Don't you remember I stayed up at 5 a.m. yesterday? Oh no, you need your sleep. That's so funny. I'll be real honest. We do our own business, so me and Roots, we run our own business, which means we set our own hours. And oh my goodness, we should not be trusted to decide our own working hours. Me and Roots are getting up. Jeez, I was up at 2 p.m. today. That's when I started my day. That's not a good look for me. And like, Roots got up early, but then they took a nap, and then they started their day after 4, you know, like, we should not be trusted to make our own schedules. But yeah, I think when you're in school and you do like through high school, and then if you make the choice to go to college too, there's so much, every time you get marks like that red ink, those corrections on your paper, it lowers your grade. It means you failed at something, right? It's normally seen as very bad. And I think authors or writers then carry that into their working life, their writing life, even though it no longer applies, right? There is no editor out there who's grading you, who will give you like an F as a writer. Their entire job is to help you, is to fine tune it. So all those edits and those marks they have, they're not like a critique against you. I mean, it's like a technical critique, but it's not a critique against you. That they can't take anything away. They're not taking away recess. They're not giving you a B at life or C negative at C minus at life. They can't do anything. They're just here because you asked them to do those edits, to do those corrections, to make your work the best it could be. And a lot of authors are out here. I have the running joke. They want to fight their editors at a Denny's parking lot at 3 a.m. And I'm like, what's all this hatred? What is happening here? I don't get it. This is your number one hardest working supporter, all your editors, right? They are your hardest workers to make your novel the best it could be. And I figured, like, yeah, we're just gonna yap about that. We were chatting a little bit too about how the publishing, how indie authors go about getting editors versus if you go through traditional publishing houses, how that kind of differs, and how it's sometimes it's very the same. You could end up, not gonna lie, because a lot of publishing houses now work with freelancing editors. They have a few in-house, especially a chief editor, and then sometimes they have a developmental editor that's like on like retainer. But they a lot of them now are actually just having one-off contracts with freelance editors. So as an indie author, right, as an indie writer, you might actually end up working with the same editors as a traditionally published famous author.
Encuéntrame
that.
a mí y a muchos otros creadores talentosos en
Oh my goodness. Too many ads on this video. The first time I played this video, there was like only like one ad. Now I'm having ads like every couple minutes. But yeah, I've noticed that where some people were like, oh, is it a red flag? Should I not believe it if an editor that I'm looking at a freelance site with says that they worked with such and such author? And I looked it up, right? And that book says it did work with those editors. That author does work with that editor in the publishing house. And I'm like, no, as long as it looks like they're not like a bot account or a scam account, right? Somebody pretending to be that editor. That's actually very, very normal. It's very natural. You will see editors who work with big name authors, big name publishing houses, right? They are still sometimes freelance. They just had a contract with that publishing house, and they'll then have a freelance contract with you as an indie author, an indie writer, to then work on your manuscript. You might have that, right? Oh my God! Speaking of, oh wait, should I talk about this? Do I want drama? Do I want to talk about shit? Roots is off down the hallway going, drama! I don't know if you could hear them, but that's what they were doing. But there was the Zodiac themed book that was all over Book Talk, right? I think you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like the Zodiac one. It's had like a lot of drama and a lot of negative reviews about it. But one of the big things in that marketing campaign, right, that came to light after everything started going downhill, was the author for that Book Talk Zodiac themed book or whatever was saying, oh, this is so good because it had the developmental edit was by the same person who was the editor for the Hunger Games books or something like that. That's what they were claiming, right? The author was claiming like, oh, the person who edited Hunger Games edited my book. And then it turned out later, and it's like, no, somebody who worked on the marketing campaign for Hunger Games, right? Somebody who worked in marketing had a freelance gig to do a not even a full developmental edit, just a developmental audit, right? Like a little synopsis, so they don't put all the marks in the margins of your manuscript. They just give you like a few pages at the end, sometimes just a page or two, sometimes like 3 to 5 pages, where they make notes and they critique like the writing and what fixes they would do to make your writing stronger. That's what they did. It was somebody that just happened to work in the Hunger Games marketing campaign, but not somebody who edited the Hunger Games manuscripts. And people were being like, oh, shouldn't that have been a red flag, right? Wouldn't it have been impossible for the Hunger Games editor to work with this indie author? And it's like, well, technically no, that editor could have worked with an indie author, right? I don't know personally, right? I don't know what their freelance gigs look like. But that wasn't like an immediate red flag because that does happen. But in the end, it ended up being not true, right? The person fibbed a little bit or misunderstood. They just worked in the marketing campaign and they happened to do a developmental audit on that author's thing. So you will see funny things like that. It is not immediately a red flag, and in fact, sometimes it's a very highly sought after wait list if they are a really good, like, top of their field professional editor that's like really, really good at their edits and like has a very specific like niche, very specific genre they work in. Some of them have it down to like a science, and I know like writing's an art form, but I swear some of these editors, it's like science. It's like magic, right? They can be very, very good. They can turn a mediocre book into like some of the best writing you've ever seen if you take their advice, if you listen to their feedback. It just has to be a really good matchup. So yeah, I wouldn't say if you see like someone who's claiming they worked on famous books in a freelancing gig, it's not immediately a red flag. I would just verify the account, right? I would verify the account that this isn't somebody pretending to be them. But as long as it looks like a legit account and it looks like this is legitimately them, it would actually be really cool, I think, for some people if they take it really seriously and if they have the extra cash to work with some very, very talented top of their field editors. That'd be really cool. Have I worked with them? No. Cryptid is not that fancy. Maybe one day. If I ever do get famous and we do a lot of this writing and editing stuff, wouldn't it be cool to do like interviews and stuff with some top editors? I think as writers we like a lot of reviews and interviews from authors, right? Because that's what we want to be. If you're a writer, you want to be an author. I think we read a lot of interviews from that, but really, you would be shocked if you ever get to see not an earlier draft, because there are multiple drafts in a book. If you get the rough draft, if you get the first draft of a book, you will be surprised how some very, very talented, amazing top of their field writers, how shitty their rough drafts are. And that's not a bad thing. I think a rough draft is supposed to be bad. That's why I show my rough draft writing here, because I think it's supposed to. And during the editing process, both during self-edits and doing first, second, third drafts right after your rough draft, and then doing the developmental like editors, teamwork meetings and line editors, and doing so many rounds of edits, then it's a good book. But when an author first writes, even some of the most talented authors you know, first writes a book, it is shit. It is bad. They're dropping plot holes. They're dropping character arcs. Everything turned around all wishy-washy. What was even the point of this scene? It's bad, and the writing's not very good, and that's okay, because the point of a rough draft from the most professional of authors, right, is to be done. It's supposed to be a done draft, because then you can take it and you can keep editing it and keep making it better and keep fixing it. So it doesn't have to be a good rough draft. It just has to be a done rough draft. And there are some amazingly talented editors that just provide those last few rounds of edits that make it up to be some of the best writing you've ever seen, right? Having a good editor is crazy difference. People who work with them, they'll notice, they're like, oh yeah, before and after, it's night and day, right? It is not the same. It's not the same writing. They really level it up. If you can notice what your weak points are, if you can come to agree with editors about what needs to be changed and what needs to stay. Editors don't naturally like how do I want to phrase this? Maybe this is a good point to do it. Editors don't fix your writing. They give you the feedback and tools for you to fix your writing. I think that's some things people are like, oh, I don't want to work with editors, right? Because they're going to change my stuff, right? They're going to go in there with their little like scary editor hands, and they're going to write new things in there. And I'm like, no, unless it's like a grammar thing, like if there's like a your with like an apostrophe re instead of a your y-o-u-r, like they might fix like a grammar thing if it's supposed to be there, right? They might fix that. But as far as like actually changing like your dialogue or writing your scenes, no, they might give you examples, they might give you ideas, they might give you the fixes, right? They'll give you feedback on how to achieve a better version of that, right? On how would that dialogue sound better. They'll give you ideas, but you now as a writer have to physically go in and do those fixes, right? Now that you've been removed enough and somebody told you how to fix it, now you go in and fix it. Some of them, like the developmental editor, right, because that's big picture, they actually won't give you sometimes the fix for they'll just point it out. They'll be like, hey, here's this plot hole, here's this inconsistency, take it or leave it, but you need to do something to fix it, right? So you need to fix this plot hole that appears. You said this character doesn't know how to drive, right, in chapter 2, and then here in chapter 6, without any prior knowledge or experience, they're like race car driving down the driveway or something, right, with no hesitation. That's a plot hole, right? That's or a plot inconsistency. That's not a full plot hole. That's inconsistency, right? They won't necessarily tell you which one you should do, like if you should make that character know how to drive or make that character not know how to drive, right? They'll just be like, hey, you gotta choose one or the other here, unless your character was a liar, right? Unless it was plot and point that they were lying about not knowing how to drive, in which case they won't make that edit. But they'll point out, like, you gotta choose, it's up to you, which one do you want, but you gotta choose here because right now this is inconsistent. They'll point out a plot hole, they might not tell you how to fix it. Some of them do. Some of them give you ideas. Sometimes you'll have one-on-one interviews with an editor afterwards, especially at the developmental stage, and you guys will go back and forth. And some editors do have feedback where they give you things like, hey, this is a plot hole in your magic system, right? Of your world building. Here's what you might want to do in order to fix it, if you want to keep it this way, or you might want to go another way entirely. But either way, this plot hole does have to be addressed. So sometimes they give you a fix that you could do, but they're not going into your manuscript with their little editor hands and like changing your magic system when you weren't looking. That's not what happens. Some people actually, they're like, oh yeah, that the editors go in there and they're gonna change my characters' names, right, into like more sci-fi. It's like, no, they're not gonna change their names. They might tell you like, hey, you're inconsistently spelling your character's name here, here, and here. Choose which spelling you want. But they're not gonna go in there and like change your character's name from Sam to Frank. That doesn't happen. That's so funny. I have had people wonder that. They're like, oh, does that happen? Are they gonna come? Are they just gonna delete? What are you looking at? Don't scare me. Hi, what are you looking at? What are you looking at with your big grin? Oh my goodness. Sorry, there's a poodle who's come right on up and he's looking at me. Hey Roots, would you mind coming out here and checking on our poodly brother? Right? He's looking at me. What's up? Remember to hail hydrate too. Hold on. Bear, do you have to go outside? Bear, outside? Roots, you have to come over here. You have to take care of your poodly bud. Hold on, chat. Hold on. There's a quick thing. We gotta take care of a poodle real quick. He's trying to communicate with us. One moment. Okay, I'm coming back. A poodle emergency has been averted. Hold on, I'm coming back. Gotta scoot my chair back up. Gotta knock all my things down. Okay, I'm back. Chat was behaving while I was gone, right? You guys were all good? You guys weren't doing anything crazy? You guys weren't throwing a party? Okay. So yeah, oh my goodness, what were we talking about before the poodle distracted me? Oh yeah, about editors like physically changing things. They were like, oh, does the editors go in and like delete paragraphs? That's so scary. And I'll be like, normally they just mark that you should get rid of the paragraph, but they leave the choice up to you, right? They just mark like, hey, you should get rid of this paragraph. They don't go in and like delete it on you. That would be crazy. That's normally what happens. Someone's gonna point out like some weird case of like crotchety old McGee editor from like 1972 who did that. Like yeah, there's obviously gonna be like one or two like random outliers. But as a whole, as a profession, no, you don't go in there as an editor writing new things for the writer. You just give them like notes and you give them corrections and you give them ideas sometimes. That's what happens. So if that was a fear of yours for working with an editor, if you're working in the agenting or trying to get into a publishing house and you know you have to do edits in the future if you get accepted, don't worry about it. It's going to be a lot of work. It's a lot of rounds of edits with a lot of different specialists. And it's a lot of work each time. It is those skits where like authors really complain about the amount of edits they do. It's legit. There's gonna be a lot of work, I ain't gonna lie. But no, they're not. Everything that ends up in the final book, it's still your words. It's with their corrections, but it's your words. And I think you should be very, very proud after all that hard work, after all those rounds of edits. Even if it looks much more polished than your rough draft, every single stage of that, from rough draft to final draft, right, the published draft, was all your work. Even if it had the help of editors, you should be so proud of all the work you did. Why are there so many ads? Get out of here. Banned. If I could ban the ads, I would. Get out of here. I don't want them. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Why writers should love their editors, right? I think for why you should love them, that is your why you should love editors. I think they are your hardest working fans, right? They are your hardest working from day one, before it's ever seen the light of day, to the normal reading audience, right? Before it's published, they are seeing it at its worst state. No matter how hard you worked on it, right? It's still rough. They're seeing it at the worst state, and they are putting all their love and care and attention and knowledge and years of working in this profession to the best of their ability to give you every single edge to make that be the story you want to tell, right? So they are your hardest working supporters, right? That they're gonna be there from every single phase of the rough draft. They are gonna to help you make that story the one you want to tell. And if I don't think I'm wrong with this. I think if you talked with a lot of published authors, if they tried to show fans and readers and their target audience their story ideas from the rough draft phase, right? They're like full up, they would not have as many fans and readers, right? Because the readers would look at it and be like, no, this book isn't good. This writing isn't good. An editor is there during that phase when it's not good, because they're like, I believe in the story you want to tell, or I'm being paid to believe in the story you want to tell. Right? I'm being paid to, and I'm going to do everything I can to give you that feedback, to give you that advice, to make it be the story you want it to be, right? I don't think I need another line there. That's what they do. It's really awesome. I really, when I was younger, I mostly just focused on the craft of writing. I just liked writing when I was younger, especially like high school. Younger high school, that I really like just writing. Now that I'm older, now that I'm hag age with all my cats, I still love writing, but really I've gained so much appreciation for editing, for all the work that goes into editing and making like shitty drafts be better. It's so comforting to know, no matter how shitty or how scattered my thoughts are, scattered my brains are, that if I then go back as editing me, if I'm editing my own work, or if I'm having an editing friend or someone I'm paying to edit my work, they're then seeing it at its roughest stage without judgment, and they're gonna help me, and that's all it is. It's help. It's constructive feedback. It's not the end of the world. And I think a lot more authors should approach it with that way. I wish a lot more authors and writers were less taking it to heart when they get constructive feedback. Now, obviously, if you're like a writer for fun, if you're posting stuff on like fanfic writers, and then there's like people that you did not ask to give you feedback, and they're like in the comments giving you like constructive feedback and stuff, then yeah, because that's not someone you asked to edit for you, right? I could see being annoyed by that, and I would get I would get that's bothersome. But if you have like a beta readers, right, I think you should like value if your beta readers actually give you feedback. I in real life, right, I have done beta reading for a few fanfic authors, and I try to make it very clear, because beta readers kind of like a wild west. That means a lot of different things to a lot of different fanfic authors now, right? It's very different. And what happens with fanfic writers, that community, when they get beta readers, I try to specify, do you just want beta readers to be a cheerleader? Do you just want them to cheer you on and tell you all the good things and tell you and support you and encourage you to hit publish, right? And that's okay. That's fair. Some people need those emotional cheerleaders, right? And that is okay, as long as you know that's what you need. You just need those extra little voices outside your head, to encourage you and give you that push to put your work out there. That's okay. You know that if you just got a lot of feedback that's like constructive, that might hold you back. You have to know that about yourself, right? You have to be aware. But and you also have to tell the beta readers that. So when a beta reader asks you, like, oh, do you just want cheerleading? Do you just want emotional support and someone checking in on you to encourage you to write the next paragraph or the next chapter? You gotta let them know that. If a beta reader's offering for you, like, oh, I'm really good with grammar and spelling and punctuation, do you want me to try and edit? And in that case, they're talking about like copy editing, right? You have to be right. Like they are going to believe you if you say yes. And then they're going to do the thing when you're done, and they're going to give you those grammar and those spelling corrections, right? So then it's on you because you asked for it, right? They believed you. They're fulfilling their end of the contract here. You have to have meant it. You have to know yourself enough to know you won't be a little bit butthurt that someone gave you spelling corrections, right? Because you asked for it. You asked for that beta reader to do that. They offered, you said yes. They then gave you the spelling grammar corrections. You have to know yourself not to be upset with it. If somebody I think it was only really one time, maybe one or two times for different fanfic authors, I actually offered to do like line editing and developmental editing type thing, like just as a beta reader, not professionally, just as a beta reader for some fanfic authors I really liked, right? And they said yes, and one of them handled it really, really good. Like we nailed out a lot of plot holes and stuff they would have struggled with later because it was a really big multi-chapter project they wanted to work on, and so it was really good that we noted just in the plotting stages some pitfalls that would have appeared, right? It was good. But the other author, I think when they said yes to the edits, and this is a really common thing that you'll see, both with writers and fanfic writers and all sorts of types of writers, they said yes to the edits, thinking they weren't gonna get many edits, thinking it would all just be like gold star, 100%, A++, and no matter what your writing skill is, there will always be edits, right? They said yes to it thinking there would be no edits and that all the betas would be like, oh no, like there's nothing to fix, it's so good, it's so perfect. And instead we took it seriously. We gave that very nice, right? You don't need to be rude when you give edits. Very nicely worded, very encouraging edit feedback. And instead it could really emotionally hurt them, right? And I did have one that they actually didn't update the fanfic anymore, and I was like, oh no. Like after they got the edits, I think they got overwhelmed with like a plot hole they didn't know how to fix, and so then they just stopped writing. And they were like, and I was like, oh, I think they just wanted the cheerleader and just to ignore the plot hole, right? And I do feel very bad about it, but again, you have to be very upfront. Do you want the cheerleader? Do you want the emotional support? Or do you want whatever level of editing a beta reader is offering you, right? And every time you do beta read, especially with a new fanfic author, ask the fanfic author, what are you wanting out of this? Do you want just encouragement? Do you want me just to check in and see how the writing's going? Do you want grammar and spelling fixes? Do you only want spelling and grammar fixes and you don't want critiques about character, right? Ask them what they want, because then, as long as the author knows themselves and they're honest, it saves the relationship a lot. Again, like I said, like some authors don't know themselves that well, and they'll agree to one thing and still be upset by it. And I feel a lot of I feel sad for that. You know, I don't ever want anyone to see critique or see feedback and take that to heart, especially in something now that we're out of school. Now that we're not being graded for stuff, those critiques, those feedbacks don't matter. You know, you're not losing recess. You're not having a failing grade at fanfic or your own writing project or your novel. You're not getting an F on stuff. You're just getting feedback to make this fun thing you're excited about, this fun creative work, be the best fun thing it can be. And that's all it is. And I wish that didn't cause anxiety, and it didn't cause, like, I think some of them even feel like shame. And shame's like the last thing you want to feel for fixing mistakes, right? If somebody gives you a spelling and grammar fix, right? And now you can go in and fix, and now there's no longer spelling and grammar fixes, but now you feel ashamed of it. It's like, why? Now your work is, it doesn't have the spelling or grammar mistakes anymore. You know, you got to now display this thing without spelling and grammar mistakes, right? You got to copy edit from beta reader, and now it's like such a better piece that you can be proud of because you took that extra step to get that feedback, to get that help for it to be a better polished piece. And instead they still internalize the fact that, oh, somebody had to point that out to me. I'm not good enough. I shouldn't have done it. People are gonna know. It's like, no, what are you talking about? Like, you just got that little extra help to have that finished piece. And I feel really bad. I think even younger me, like I talk about past Cryptid, past me a lot, and I think even then, if I had not necessarily critiques, I think I know myself enough that copy editing and line edits wouldn't have bothered me, right? That's fine. I can say I think I know myself past me enough that if I got really harsh developmental feedback about my whole ideas, because I was very proud of some of my creative ideas when I was younger, if I had gotten feedback on that some of my characters are unnecessary, on some of my story ideas weren't solid, I think that would have hurt me. And I think younger me would have been like, no, I don't want developmental edits. I like playing with these characters. I like playing with these plots. But yeah, like, help me actually with the craft of writing. Like, help me have stronger sentences and better structure flow and proper grammar, right? That is just knowing yourself. That is knowing what you need and what you are not mentally ready to handle right now for your writing. And if you are honestly, and I say this, if you honestly can't handle any edits for like fun creative stuff like fanfics or self-publishing, I'll go and say, and this might be a weird take, if emotionally having any edits, having any constructive feedback keeps you from writing, like that fear of it keeps you from publishing, keeps you from writing, I'd rather you write rather than try to make the perfect writing with all the constructive feedback. I would much rather you actually have fun with the writing, with your stories, with your worlds, with your characters, and publish those fanfics and publish those OCs and do all that. I would rather you have fun and have that experience and play in those worlds rather than get all the professional edits from friends or attempts or whatever. Do that instead, honestly. And then once you are more confident and you are more self-assured in the work you've done and in yourself as a person, then you can look at leveling up and looking at what edits you could handle. But if you are not able to handle it, that is not a bad thing about you. That's not a bad thing about your character. It's just what you're ready for. It's just what you can handle. That's all it is. It's not a personal defect. I think if you want to get into the professional, especially traditionally published sphere of writing, right? Then that is going in with the knowledge. You will get edits. You will get feedback. You will get constructive feedback. You will get developmental and line and copy and proofreading. You'll get edits you didn't even know you could get. And some of them you will get multiple times. Don't you worry. Oh my goodness. Some of them you will get multiple times over. You will get really comfortable with some edits depending on what your weakness is in your writing. If like your plot is your biggest weakness, you have a lot of plotting issues, and a developmental editor gives you some feedback at a publishing house, right? And they're like, oh, fix the middle part, fix this, fix that, and then you go and do those fixes. Sometimes then you actually have to send that fixed manuscript back for another round of developmental edits, only to then realize like, oh, you fixed that plot hole, but now you created another plot hole. Here's another round of developmental edits. Go fix those main plot holes you made. And you're like, no! So yeah, some of those edits, whichever one you have the most trouble with, will be the one you'll be seeing a lot of. You'll get real comfy, or real uncomfy, with those type of edits. You'll see them a lot. And that's in the professional sphere, especially traditionally publishing professional sphere. And you do have to be confident enough in yourself and self-assured yourself. to handle those critiques and to handle those edits. But I think if you can't handle those edits, then yeah, it says nothing bad about you. Just have fun with your stories and your writing and your fanfics and sharing your story with your friends and having fun with things. It is not bad about you to not want to do this professionally at the highest professional level. That's so silly. That it's just for funsies. That's okay. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. That's my 2 cents as a blue cryptid girl on your monitors. Probably your second monitors. So if that advice doesn't work for you, hey, I'm second monitor content. You can just disregard it. Okay, it's all good. This is just that little peek into how some developmental edits work in for fun versus indie publishing and for traditional publishing, right? If it doesn't work for you, hey, I'll never know. You just go away and like, hey, doesn't bother me none and doesn't bother you none. It's all good. But I think, let's take a look-see here. I think we've been recording for 2 hours. We've passed the 2-hour mark today for my little chatting and yapping session over here. And I really appreciate y'all coming over. It was really fun. It's different that the other days I was doing the rough draft writing and I was showing what really ugly rough drafts look like, right? And I really appreciate that. But today was just a chatting day, and you guys are all still so lovely and hanging out with me. But I think that's it. I think I'm losing my voice, so I think I'm gonna hydrate and have some more to drink. And I think tomorrow we might either have another yapping session or we could have the rough draft writing again. Whatever you guys are kind of feeling in the mood for. But I'm excited. I've really enjoyed being in this category on Twitch. It's been really welcoming. It's been really nice. Besides for the bots, but I think the bots are in like every category, right? I don't think there's a category that doesn't have bots. So besides for bots, for all the real people, it's been a really big pleasure. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for listening to me yap and asking questions. And thank you guys for being such great cult members, for joining the Cryptid cult. It's been really fun. But for now, I think I'm gonna stop the stream here, and you guys have a wonderful night, okay? Have a good one and happy writing. Bye!